Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jack here with another video of me just talking and nothing else going on. But you did ask for this one, so here we are. This will be a rant on the Xbox One, because everyone wanted me to go in first, because as the last two videos have shown, I'm not too big a fan of the Xbox One, but you want me to go into more detail as to why I'm not a fan of the Xbox One, it seems. So this is going to be, just letting you know, this is not scripted in any way, shape, or form, so I don't know. So, I might... So, who knows? I might pause or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't think you care. I bet you just want to hear what I think. So, what's wrong with the Xbox One? Well, what's right with it? That's the start. I mean, from the beginning, it's called the Xbox One because it's supposed to be like an all-in-one thing where it's everything. Television, movies, internet, blah, 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 all that shit, which is kind of pointless. I'm gonna say this one right away. If I wanted a piece of hardware, if I wanted a piece of hardware that could do everything for me at once, I'd go on my computer. That's what the computer is for. Microsoft, you have Windows on pretty much everything. You don't need your console to try to be that as well. I bet it's because Apple doesn't have a game console. God, I hate to imagine if Apple starts making the iGame or something like that now, where and it has all these overblown features, and then Microsoft and Apple pretty much start competing, and then the game consoles get turned into what computers are. In terms of competition and shit, it's like, hi, I'm an iGame, and I'm an Xbox. But, moving on, though, to my point, what is it? Yeah. It does everything, there's no point. I hear Steven Spielberg is doing a Halo TV series, which, that admittedly catches my attention, and there's one of my friends said it best. That is either going to be really awesome or really stupid. It's going to be one of the extremes. It's not just going to be okay or bland. It's going to be one way or the other, because that's how Steven Spielberg is. His movies are either really awesome or really stupid. I'm hoping we'll get really awesome out of this, because I admit, it'd be cool. It's kind of cool to have a Halo TV series, but still, it doesn't justify the Xbox One television thing or having to be all-in-one or multitasking or bullshit like that. Though my friend did make a good point that Microsoft that Sony's a hardware company, whereas Microsoft is a software company. So he thinks that maybe the reason they did this is because they were trying to find a way to compete. They were trying to compete with Sony because they couldn't match Sony in hardware. From what I understand, the PS3 actually did have better hardware than the 360 as well. It did have Blu-ray, and it did have better graphics capabilities, from what I understand. So, yeah, they couldn't match it in hardware, so they pretty much had to match it in software. They probably came up with all this bullshit to try to match it in software, which I don't think there's a point, because I said this before, I'll say it again. Video game consoles are about their libraries, not about what they can do. It's not about does it have an automatic blowjob function, does it have a massage mode or lounge music or anything like that. They're about playing video games. So the thing that's going to be important is, does it have this game on it? If you want to win in the console competition, just make sure it's able to stand next to. Don't bring. Obviously, if you have like a PS2, you gotta make sure that your console's able to play. The game is got to be having enough hardware and software, etc., to be able to play the modern games. Obviously, like the Wii kind of failed out on. That was the big problem with the Wii, was that it couldn't match up. There were a lot of games that couldn't be ported onto it. So which actually could be regarded as a big flaw Nintendo had. Was not trying to match up to that, because what's important are games on it. That's first and foremost, because Nintendo in that regard, if they actually tried to match it to the hardware, would actually probably be unstoppable, because Xbox does because the only thing I can think of that Microsoft has, to me, that really is exclusive is Halo, and I like Halo. I like Halo, but that's it. Meanwhile, what does Nintendo have? They have Mario, Metroid, Zelda. They have all this. They have all these awesome IPs that they could be going with. If they actually focused on, making there's which who knows? Maybe the Wii U will do that. I don't know. But I'm just talking about But this is, I'm just talking about like what they've done in the past that's kind of messed up. But though I think Nintendo, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Nintendo still fare the best out of all the companies in this generation? Whatever. Back on point. Microsoft being dick faces. Ugh. The TV the TV all in one function. It's unnecessary, but again, this is the kind of stuff I could put up with. But let's move forward. Requires Kinect. Like I said in the previous video, Microsoft has their heads up their asses. If they make it, if they steal it from someone else and pass it off as their own, and then they implement it into their stuff, that means it has to be, in their eyes, it has to be the greatest thing ever, and they're completely blind to any hate or criticism that everyone else has about it, and so they'll think that their thing is the future of gaming, and if you don't like that, you can go fuck yourself. That's essentially their attitude. And the Kinect is who fucking likes the Kinect? It's a piece of shit! I mean, I regret wasting money on that thing. That thing's collecting dust in the other room. I haven't touched that thing in ages. Ugh. I didn't even pick up Star Wars Kinect because it looks stupid. Looks so stupid. And I might have been tempted to pick it up, but then I got scared away by Sonic Freeriders. It's like, which, for the record, that game could have been good. That game could have been good if it wasn't on the Kinect, because there was clearly a lot of effort that was put into that game, but that stupid Kinect has it. So from what I understand, it's required now, and it appears that it's going to be like it's always listening and always watching. Oh, fuck you. You're trying to basically, I think Microsoft is now trying to compete with the government for most infamous invaders of privacy right now. But I'm tempted to just tape over the fucking camera and when I don't need it. So it's like, fuck you guys. That is, if I get it, which, at this point, I'd much rather burn it. At this point, I'd really much rather burn it than get it. I'd be tempted to, personally, if it weren't for the fact that it would still give them money, I would get one just for the sake of burning it. Well, and if it weren't for the fact that Halo 5's on it. God damn it! But, let me put it this way. Again, like I said this to my friend, if Halo 5 is, and if it turns out Halo 5 is on the PC, which I doubt it will be, but if by some miracle it turns out to be on the PC, I'll be like, fuck that thing, and I'll just be, to the Xbox One, and then I'll be grabbing it and burning it. So, moving on though, back to the point of Kinect. So yeah, that's stupid. Voice commands, I hear they improved them, but the voice command, now a lot of people have said that the voice commands work well on the Kinect. It must be that I have a weird voice or something, because they do that. Like when I was playing Sonic Freeriders, I'd always tell it to retry. I'd say retry, right? And my God, it would never listen to me. So I don't have much faith in the Kinect improving on the Xbox One, and I think them requiring it is stupid. Now imagine if they made you buy it separately, then they'd be really stupid. But from what I understand, it's still, if it still requires a separate plug slot, then yeah, they haven't learned anything from Sega back when they were doing the add-ons, like the 32X and stuff like that. Microsoft just doesn't learn. Microsoft pretty much they steal everyone's ideas, and they also steal their mistakes as well. They stole. They're stealing Sega's mistake of having a stupid add-on that requires you to plug it in separately, blah blah. And blah blah blah. It costs way too much, and they're stealing Sony's stupidity when it comes to the iToy, and now they're also stealing Sony's former stupidity again with charging a console at $500 fucking dollars. And I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that later, but let's just say right away that's way too much money, and that alone is enough to keep me from getting it, because I got college to worry about paying right now. I don't have time to be wasting. I don't have the money to be wasting on the friggin' Xbox. On the friggin' latest Xbox and all like that. So, I'm probably gonna make use of the YouTube part of the money I get from YouTube partnerships, which by the way is not much, so don't think I'm some fireworks. But don't think I'm some rich guy or anything because of YouTube partnership. I earn chump change with that stuff. But I don't think I have enough to pay for an entire Wii U, but I'll probably use it to go towards it. Yeah, what was I going to say? I have no idea. But yeah, it's just the Xbox One, and I know I'm ranting about that, so what was I ranting about? The price. Yeah, the price is stupid. And moving on from the price, so I talked about the Kinect, I talked about the price, I talked about, what else I talked about? I talked about it being an all-in-one thing. Okay, let's move forward. DRM. Oh, shit, you are... No, wait, actually, I'm going to hold off on that one. I'll talk about always being online first. So, always being online. Granted, that wasn't as bad as they made it sound to begin with, but the fact that it's required to be on the internet is so stupid. Now, my friend, they say it's to do some kind of cloud, some kind of, loading the game using cloud, which I think is stupid. But, now, if that's true, and my friend made a good point, but let's just say that's true for a minute, that's very risky. And, I don't think that's the smartest idea. I mean, that's a clever idea, but it's not one that I think they're ready to implement. Not until things are more solid. I hear they did, like, a massive overhaul on their servers. That interests me. But, maybe that means we won't be having fucktarded lag, or, random disconnects. Like my Xbox 360 always likes to randomly disconnect from me. Lovely. But, it's funny because nothing else does. It's just the Xbox 360 to disconnect randomly. My computer, anything else that I have that connects to the internet, all fine. But, moving on. So, always online, yeah, that's stupid, and that's alienating to people who don't have the internet, or don't have a working internet connection. My friend said that his internet only works like, it sometimes goes off for a month. And, it just shows how stupid it is. I mean, really is, man. So that's dumb. But what else is dumb? That's dumb. But let's move on. Now let's move on to the one that I really want to talk about, the DRM stuff. So for those of you who don't understand what this means, basically a game is tied to your. When you buy a game, it is tied to your account. Other people can't play it. I think there's a system where if you've been friends with someone for more than 30 days on Xbox Live, they can like temporarily borrow your game or something like that. I don't know, but all I know is that basically for other people to play the game that is tied to your account, they have to pay a large fee that's pretty much almost as much as it is to buy the game new in order to unlock it. Now, I can't even begin to say what's wrong with that. So let me first start by talking about whose fault I think this is. I don't think this is so much. I mean, this is obviously Microsoft's fault for implementing the feature, but I think this is more the work. This isn't so much the work of Microsoft as it is the work of publishers like EA and stuff pressuring them to do it. Because the thing is, Microsoft's not the only one responsible. Sony is doing this too. The difference is, and I think this is much more smart. And this is Sony being smart. They're really on the ball this time around. The thing is, so the PS4 will have a DRM feature, but the difference is it will be left up to the publishers to decide policy on that. So, publishers that aren't douchebags, like let's say Valve, for example, Valve would probably, Valve would not include a DRM function because they care about their fans and they love to give us as much content. They love to give as much to us for free as possible. So, yeah. Whereas on the other hand, a scumbag company like EA probably will, they'll probably make you pay a fee to play a used game. Now, that is so retarded, and there's so much wrong with that. I don't even know where to begin. This is basically like double dipping in business. From a business standpoint, this is wrong. It is so wrong. It's like they should never be allowed to get away from this. And it sickens me because we saw it grow. People talk like, oh, getting it used is it's such a problem because they're not giving us money and stuff. And it's like, fuck off. No. You already got money for that one copy of the game the first time it was sold. You can't get money for something for the same copy being sold more than once. You have to. That's a basic rule of business. If something you manufacture costs $60 per copy, you get $60 for every copy sold. You don't make $120 for the same. You don't make $60 twice over for one copy of the game. As you can imagine, I really hate this. This makes me really angry, judging by my lack of composure there. Because I genuinely think this should be an illegal business practice. I think this is literally companies stealing money from people by doing this. This should be. I want someone who's very skilled in law to make a case and start, and bring this to court. Or, if this isn't illegal, I want someone to amend. I want someone to bring forth amendments to the Constitution to make this illegal, because this is an illegal business practice. In an economy like in a day and age where we have a shitty ass economy, we should not be letting companies get away with this bullshit. Because, you know, that's a big part of the reason why things are struggling is the way they are. It's because the thing is, you know, whether you want to admit it or not, I mean, like, think about it. Who solved how did the Great Depression get solved last time? FDR, you know, came in and pretty much decided, we're not going to let companies get away with this shit. They're going to have to play fair like the rest of us. And I think we need that again. We need somebody to basically, you know, to teach these corporations and companies that they can't be screwing people out of their money like this. You know, they have to play fair like everyone else. And you know, the reason they do this, they say the reason they do this is because they're losing money or some shit like that. And I call bullshit on that. You know, it's like, you look at, like I probably mentioned this in the last video, but I'm going to mention it again. So, you know how there's all these rushes for anti-piracy bills and shit like that that are pushed by like movie and music industries who all keep saying they're losing money because people are pirating their stuff. Allow me to correct that. Because because the thing is, I always firmly believed, and this would be a completely different rant, but I always firmly believe that it's not because of piracy. If piracy didn't exist, your movies would still be suffering as much. Well, maybe they get a little bit better, but they still be but not enough to make a difference. They still be suffering because the reason people aren't watching your movies or going to the theaters to watch your movies is because they suck. That's why. That's my humble opinion, is that they don't try, they don't put effort, so nobody wants to bother going to see them. Getting off. The other reason is because because in this day and age of the internet, where you can watch something on the internet without having to pay money or having to get up and go somewhere. You know, you can just sit. You know, it feels kind of like an inconvenience or a downgrade to go see movies now. You know, we want that experience put into the internet, integrated into the internet properly. But now I'm getting off on a tangent. But the point is, that's how I feel. So I wrote an essay in college to try to illustrate that point. And so I did some research on how the movie. I did some research to see if the claims that the movie industry is making are even accurate, that they're losing money. And the shocking result I found is they are not. I looked at box office earnings. I mean, they're not necessarily the highest, but they're not the lowest either. You know, they're not suffering or any shit like that. They're doing better than they did. They're doing better than they did 10 years ago. So, it's like all this talk about, oh, we're losing money, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. It is utter horseshit. Companies are doing better than the common person right now. And you know what the thing is? These scum fucks basically look at the situation and say, oh, look, the economy sucks. Now, people are suffering. If we pretend that we're losing money as well, we can make policies to push things and charge things at higher prices and and enforce anti-piracy bills and shit like that, so that we get more money that we don't need from people that don't have enough to pay for it. Scumbag fuck shits that need a Robin Hood to teach them a lesson. Seriously, this shit pisses me off so fucking much. You have no idea how much this irritates me. And the fact that they got away with this, too. That's what irritates me, is that they got away with this! And it's not just the Xbox One, it's the fact that the PS4 has it, too, even though they're doing it in a much smarter way. They're showing that the way they do it exposes the jackass companies for who they are, and gives them a bad rep if they do it. So that at least might be a warning sign for them to say, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't enforce DRM on the PS4, lest we get a huge backlash. Though knowing them, they probably won't listen to that. Knowing them, they probably wouldn't take that advice anyway. But it's just like the fact that they got away with this. The fact that DRM is a thing in 2 of 3 of the 3 consoles coming out this year. Well, not this year, but coming out now. 2 of the 3 next gen consoles. It irritates me to no end. It's terrible. It really is. I can't stand it. At all. And you know what? Just so I'm doing more than just ranting, I'm going to provide I'm going to provide some constructive criticism now by stating what I believe an ideal game console should be, because it seems that Microsoft has forgotten what it is. And you know what? So here's what I think. I think that a console should be about playing video games, not about television, and whatever other crazy things they want to implement. It's not. It's not something that James Bond uses, or that either James Bond or Batman or whoever else has like awesome gadgets. It's not something they use. It's something that the common person wants to use to play video games. That's its purpose. We have computers to do everything else. And I could go on a separate rant, I'm not going to, on how I think that, it's kind of like what happened to phones. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a technology I'm down with technology. But the one thing I'm not, the one thing where I'm as stupid as your old high school teacher about is phones. My phone, I don't even have texting. That's pretty much my sense of phones, because I only need a phone to do one thing: make calls. So that's it. Cell phone. The idea of a cell phone, something that you can keep with you, and that's that's fine. But I don't need like an iPhone with built-in GPS satellite tracking that allows me to pinpoint the exact location of the president at all times, or anything crazy like that. I don't need an iPhone. I don't need a phone that I can stick on my back and it will give me a shiatsu massage. Or would that be on the arm? I don't need whatever. I don't need a phone that would give me a massage. No, that would be on the back. But anyway, I don't need a phone that would give me a massage. And, I never really bought an iPhone or any of this shit because I think it's unneeded. It's a waste of money, and it's unneeded features. I just need a phone to make calls. Likewise, I just need a video game console to play video games. It's fine. Now, having internet functions makes sense because, that ties back to playing video games now. Because, that's relevant. Wow, I just heard a ridiculous... never mind. Someone just messaged me on Skype, something ridiculous, and I could go on a second. I could say how this guy's a nut for saying that, but moving on. Back on point. I was ranting about the Xbox One. I was trying to. So for my first point on what a good console should be is that it should be about playing games. It should not be. To steal a joke that runs. It should not double as a George Foreman grill. And second thing, the price. No. Actually, let's save the price for later. The hardware. The hardware should, now graphics are not the most important thing, but obviously graphics I don't think are the most important thing. Gameplay is. So when it comes to hardware, I don't think we necessarily need to have the absolute greatest hardware in the universe, but you need to have what your hardware requirements should be. All you need to have with hardware is it needs to be good enough so it's not like the Wii where it can't play, where its lack of hardware prevents it from being able to support a large number of games. As long as your hardware is good enough that it can keep up with the game developers themselves, that's all that you need. You don't need to be, you don't need to invent holographic simulation You don't need to invent holographic simulation graphics. We don't need those. We just need good enough to keep up with the game industries. Which they're going to be the ones to push they should be the ones pushing the graphics, not the console, because the game industries are the ones trying to get you to buy their game, and the graphics, though they're not important, they are kind of like that. They're like that little bit of presentation that everyone will always put to spice up their game and say, hey, buy this one, it looks pretty. But, moving on to... Well, so that's point two, hardware that's good enough to keep up, but don't go over the top with it. That's the point three, the price. A video game console should not be any more than $350 at the most. $599 US, $499 US, and $399 US are all too much for a console. The only reason the PS4 has gotten away with having $399 is because of the Xbox One being $499. That's it. But that's still too much. $350 is the most. It's way too much to ask for a larger amount than that. It's like, especially in an economy like this where the people aren't doing too well. And I'm going to point out that was one of the mistakes that Sega made, because everyone loves the Sega console. Well, okay. I don't think everyone liked their add-ons, but I think people liked the Sega Genesis and the Dreamcast. I don't think the Saturn really got too much love. I think the Saturn kind of was kind of their failure. That was kind of one of the failures that dragged them down. But let's look at But I remember seeing a video that very much pointed out, using a lot of research, what Sega did, the mistakes Sega made that dropped them out of the consoles. And one of the mistakes that was recurring for them was they charged way too much for their consoles. You know, Nintendo would always get these sales. So Nintendo would always get sales away from Sega simply by being the cheaper console. You know, in business, it's good to have the cheaper one at times to get more people to buy it. It'll add up to a higher sum than the people who buy the more expensive one. So yeah, this whole over 350 stuff is ridiculous. Now let's see what. So that's 3 steps. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can advise. Well, there's little things that are irrelevant to this rant, like, you know, have your hard drive be removable like the 360 or things like that. Well, okay, actually, this is relevant. Step 4: make sure the hardware won't break. Because Microsoft had this big mistake with the Xbox 360 where it constantly got red rings to death. And I'm hearing that the Xbox One is also made with unstable hardware that's very much capable of breaking. And no. Let's talk more importantly about something else. I'm sure you all have this problem where you've tipped over your Xbox once or twice, or you've moved it while there was a game disc, or there was a disc spinning inside it, and your disc got ruined. It had like a big-ass ring scratch inside it, right? You want to know why that is? It's because there's no padding on this one. Someone took apart the Xbox to show why in a video, and there was the Xbox 360 that is, and it showed that there's this area on it that just basically it's like this solid area that if it moves slightly, the disc will skid across and get scratched. And the easy way to fix that would just be to add some foam padding to it. A random person, and anybody who knows how to take apart and put back together an Xbox could solve that with some foam padding. And Microsoft couldn't even be bothered to do that. It's like, make your consoles stable, make sure shit isn't gonna break in them. And I hear the Xbox One's gonna be doing the same mistakes, same shitty, easy to break hardware. It's like, I went through 3 Xbox 360s. Well, I should say, I'm on my 3rd one now. And I went through two original Xboxes as well. This shit breaks too easily. So, yeah, I'm thinking, what's the next? There might be one. And I think step 5, I can't think of 6, so I'll just do 5 steps. Step 5 is don't include DR. No, there is 6 steps. But I'll do step 5. Step 5 is pretty much don't do DRM. I don't think I need to explain any more on that one. I'll just be talking for another 10 minutes about why I hate it, and repeating myself. So, you probably understand why I hate DRM. So, yeah, that's my stance on that. Don't do DRM. I genuinely think that should be an illegal business practice. I feel like that is just, it's that terrible. And now, step 6, have good games. That's the most important thing about a console, is that it has a good game library that people want to play. Hell, I think the real reason the Xbox 360 did so much better than the PlayStation 3, because they were largely... The thing is, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 were largely equals. I think, hell, one advantage the PS3 has is it has free internet. But, granted, some people, people who are always, because let's be honest, the Xbox 360 was was pretty much the subject of everyone's fanboyism, and I'm glad to see that it's finally not, thanks to the Xbox One. Now Microsoft's getting the shit they deserve. But people would criticize Sony for their easily hacked PSN network. But even Microsoft said that, this is pretty much a case of this isn't fun, this isn't good for anybody. And that's for once I agree with them. That's not getting hacked, that's not good for anybody. It only makes things worse. And, so PlayStation Network ignore the fact that it got hacked. PlayStation Network at least is free. And, that's what, I'll give you an example. I'll not say who, but someone I talked to said, back when the PS3 was getting hacked, said, see, this is what you get when you pay for, you get what you pay for. It didn't cost anything, defending the Xbox 360, but now is hating the Xbox One and saying that he's going to get the PS4, saying one of the reasons is free internet. But that's the thing, free internet it's hard to fight with that. That's a good point. So why is it that the Xbox 360 was so much more popular, and why did it do so much better? I'm going to say it's because of games. When you really think about it, what did the PS3 have that the Xbox 360 didn't? I mean, the only thing I can really think of that's noteworthy is Metal Gear. The only thing I think of a game called Uncharted, but I don't know most games. There's maybe like 4 games I can think of, and I don't remember, and half of them I don't even remember the names of. So Uncharted, a game called Uncharted, and Metal Gear Solid 4 are the only game. Oh, and no wait, Little Big Planet as well. Those are probably the only games that come to mind that the PS3 had. Whereas, the Xbox 360 had quite a number of exclusives that a lot of people liked. And it had friggin' Halo, for starters, which is one of the most popular game franchises. And, granted, the PS3 had Call of Duty, but the thing in Call of Duty pretty much was like this, in my opinion, heavily overrated game franchise, but a lot of people buy it, so so it is true, but the thing is, the Xbox 360 also has Call of Duty, so, it's like, just Call of Duty, or Halo and Call of Duty, that's pretty much how it works, and people are going to go for both. And now Bungie has Destiny. Hopefully that might turn the tables a bit, but who knows? Because Destiny is coming out for the PS3 and the Xbox 360 as well. So people who already have the 360 will probably get it for that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get it for the Xbox One or the PS4. I'm not going to waste my money on that. I'm not going to waste my money on one of those until I need them. And I don't even want to waste my money on the Xbox One. And like I said in the last video, depending on how if the price goes, I think that if the price goes down for it and Halo 5 looks good enough, I might go with it, but that's still a might, And and considering I'm making the case here that the game library is the most important thing about the console, that should tell you something. That even though it has the games I want, even though it has more of the games I want, I still don't want to get it. That's so. Just because the game library is the most important thing, this doesn't mean the other things aren't important. It needs to be usable, and it needs to not be so much of a piece of shit that you don't want to buy it even in spite of its game library. But going back to the game library, though, so I think that you should. I think we should focus on having a really nice game library. Instead of just. As opposed to focusing on all this stupid shit like, oh, it can watch television stuff. Who cares? Your audience is the gamers. You're not. Stop trying to get in people who aren't even into games to buy your system. Let me put it this way: if I find out somebody who's not a gamer or doesn't have any family members or children or anything that are gamers has a game console, I'm gonna facepalm. The only time that actually worked was back with the PS2, and this is a case of this is Microsoft trying to steal an idea, trying to rip off. Trying to steal someone else's marketing ideas. Because, let's be honest, the Sega Dreamcast was a nice console, but it had some problems. One of which was it was easy to pirate on. But the other thing outside of its problems that caused it to lose to the PS2 was the PS2 was the cheapest DVD player. At the time was the cheapest DVD player out there. So a lot of people who wanted DVDs would buy the PS2 to play DVDs. That worked then. That won't work again. That fortune will not repeat itself, not in this day and age. So stop trying to get it to work again, and focus on games, not other shit. So, and focus on having a good game library. Come to think about it, I think points 1 and 6 are actually repeats of one another. Oh well, call this point 1 extended edition. Okay, then call point 6 point 1 extended edition. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Xbox One right there, and yeah, I think it's a piece of dog shit. Really hate the fact that Halo 5 is going to be on it, because I love Halo, and it's like, why does such a great game franchise have to be stuck on such a... I never thought that until now. I always thought... I'm like, okay, it's like... I mean, I've never been a Microsoft fan, but it's like, I never actually thought, why does Halo only have to be on this? Until now. Now I thought this. I'm wishing that Bungie took Halo with them when they split off. I really am. But hey, at least they're doing Destiny. But anyway, I'm just rambling on now. So I'll end this now. Thank you, and expect to see more videos from me in the future because I've got a lot of stuff to do now, and I'm looking forward to finally having ideas again. It feels so great to have stuff to do. Anyway, see you guys.